So the next 2 points are power distance and uncertainty avoidance. So for power distance, it has to do with how power is distributed in society, how equally or unequally it's distributed in society. And so in places where there's low or small power distance, that means mostly people in those societies have a lot of the power is more equally distributed. Not saying that it is completely equal, but it is more equal in comparison to cultures with large power distance. So, for example, in low power distance cultures or small power distance cultures, a teacher can ask for feedback, and the individual, the student is sometimes treated as a peer, and young people are considered as smart or valuable, and a doctor has power in the doctor's room, and so when you go to the clinic, you see the doctor, and in that particular context, the doctor has power. But if you go and see if you happen to see that same doctor in a grocery store, that doctor doesn't have any more power. Or any more reason to stand in front of you in the grocery line because he or she is a doctor. Now, you might find that in large power distance cultures that those types of status and roles actually they flow over and they're not contained by certain contexts. So in large power distance cultures, status and titles are really, really important. Obedience, parents have demand obedience from children, as well as teachers demand obedience from children, and the children are a lot of times not expected to have wise things to say. So you're still a child. Wait until you have something to say, something important to say, because you have to earn that respect in large power distance cultures. And so status is really, really important in large power distance cultures. And there are certain places in the United States or in Western cultures where these things are prominent. So for example, in the military, you'll find that it's very high power distance. So in the military, status, rankings, all of those things, hierarchies, they're very, very important. So that's a little bit about power distance. And the last one is uncertainty avoidance. To what extent does a culture go to avoid uncertainty? Now, you'll find that if you look at the chart, America scores 46 and India scores 40, so that's pretty close, and Sweden scores 29. So in these cultures, it's relatively low. So basically, they don't. There's not a lot of things that they're not worried about having to avoid certain things. So in America, the reason for that lower score is that people generally follow the rules when you're driving and things like that. But in India, the reason for it being low is that nobody follows driving rules, so you might as well not care about having to be stressed out about it. And and it goes again with Sweden. So you'll find for example, I looked up Germany the other day, and Germany has really high ranking in this, and that means laws are really enforced, and some of the rankings for Germany would also be equal to certain Middle Eastern cultures, for example, where things are very spelled out. You have to do certain things within certain boundaries. So that's really what avoidance is, uncertainty avoidance. To what extent do we go to avoid things that are ambiguous and things that are vague, and certain things are in weak uncertainty cultures. Uncertainty is valued. It's okay. It's okay to be uncertain, and you're fine with that. You can take risks, and in strong uncertainty cultures or high uncertainty cultures, procedure is very clear, and procedure is very important. So again, within those cultures, there's lots of variations, and the scale tips even part in a region you can find, even in the United States. We talk about the US as a whole, but if you think in regionally, you know, the northern states versus the southern states, eastern, and so on, so you'll find there's lots of differences in those as well. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more clear understanding of the cultural dimensions. And do let me know in any of the discussions if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer.